And the more I kept biking and getting into more endurance activities, I just thought there's got to be a way where I can get people involved and go, hey, if I'm going to be on the bike for a long time, for instance, I started doing that Pelofondo event.
Yeah.
I thought if I'm going to be doing this, then why couldn't I just figure out a way to raise money? And one of the last Pelofondos, I was able to get a team of women involved, and we were able to raise $5,000, which literally for just one woman to be able to give her a complete new life in terms of health care, counseling, a safe house, the whole 9 yards. In some of these countries, it's literally just a few $100s a month. So it's pennies.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the clip out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 219. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. Colonoscopy achievement unlocked. And I do mean unlocked.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience.
Yeah. And I'm on the 5-year plan, apparently. So we'll get to relive this again in
5 years.
5 years.
But yeah, you just had the one little guy in there, polyp. And
yeah. Okay.
okay, that didn't sound quite like I intended it.
Yeah. So, but I lost 7 pounds overnight.
Yeah, it turns out your digestive tract is heavy.
Hold on. I don't know. I mean, I haven't weighed other people, so maybe that's standard. I've always wondered how much is really in there. Now I know it's 7 pounds.
Well, then how much do you want to tell everybody how much you gained the next day?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I took a cheat day. It was a pretty aggressive cheat day. And again, so I put back on like 10. But I'm actually right back to where I was. So
yeah, you did great.
Everything's okay.
Yeah.
I just took a day and went right back to what I'd been doing. And now we're recording this basically a week to the day later, and I'm back within half a pound of where I was. So everything's copacetic. So there's way more than everyone wanted to know about my digestive tract.
Yes, but this is your public service announcement to go get your colonoscopy. It's
totally not a big deal.
It's really not.
Yeah.
Like the most difficult part was truly the prep, and
because you sleep through the other part, so you're all worried about, are you going to be embarrassed or whatever, and then lay like conky on the head and you're knocked out, and then you wake up. Boy, I was.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was funny. So Tom, as it turns out, has never done drugs of any kind.
Never. I've never even smoked pot.
He's never been knocked out before.
I've never had a surgery. When I say my body is in like new condition.
He's not joking.
Yeah. So
they roll him back into the room, and he opens his eyes and he's like, "Hi."
Hi.
And then the nurse introduces herself and says, "Hi, my name is Brittany, and I will be your recovery nurse." And Tom, without missing a beat, says, "I'm so glad you're free." And I look at the nurse and I'm like, "What is he talking about?" And she says, "I guess he means the free Brittany thing."
And then I was like, "She's Brittany, bitch."
And he said it just like that. And then closed his eyes and went back to dozing.
Yeah. So when I say it's a tick and I can't help it, I'm just hardwired this way.
He's not just saying that.
Yeah. That's
yeah, that was fun, guys. That was really fun. I mean, I don't think there were any good stories of me when I've woken up from any kind of surgery.
No, you're just kind of groggy and you're just little.
But no, Tom goes right into comedian.
There you go. So what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
Well, apparently love is in the air. And
we have lots of love stories this week.
So many love stories.
Yeah.
There's like so much to cover.
Yeah.
Also, we're going to talk about Peloton from a stock perspective. And we're going to, of course, do that with John Mills. He will be here soon. And we had Dr. Jenn stop by, and she is going to talk to us about habits that you that you want to work on.
Okay.
And then also we have MetPro stop by, and they are going to talk to us about whether you should, when you change your habits, should it be one at a time or like do everything at once, and why, whatever the answer to that is.
Okay.
And then of course there's instructor news galore.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us. You can also find us on the facebook.com/theclipout.
Did you just say they can find us on the Facebook?
I did.
Okay.
thefacebook.com
is a thing. I know.
It works.
Okay. Continue.
So hush.
Okay.
So you can find us on the Facebook at facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. I forgot to say, when you're getting your podcast from your delivery system, you should leave a review for us, and we have a new review.
Oh, good.
This is from A Moon Mama.
A Moon Mama. I like it.
And it says, the highlight of every Friday is listening to Crystal and Tom's witty banter as they and their fun guests dish on everything Peloton. I've been listening since I got my bike in 2018 and especially love the early episodes where we couldn't say it right.
I'm glad she likes it,
Yes.
or she or he. Actually,
Yes.
Mama. said
Mom, I'm
she.
assuming, yeah.
Yes, but I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like it, because man, have we
Yeah.
taken some shit over the years for
Still,
that.
Yeah. People need to remember when this podcast launched, because we're on the cutting edge. They didn't have TV commercials. We've
That's
never heard
right.
it said before.
Right.
And then I love the people that are like, oh, you don't watch the Tour de France? No, I don't watch the Tour de France because I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So I don't watch baseball. I don't watch football. I certainly don't watch people ride bikes. So,
I'm
no.
gonna say that's pretty darn boring. I mean, I know there's people that enjoy
Totally.
it, and
If
good
it's
for
your
them.
thing, it's
Like,
great. But
it's not our thing.
In the grand scheme of things, it's a small sliver of society that watches it. So no, I don't know bike racing jargon. So
That's all right. We know it now.
Yes. So
We've learned. We've grown.
sorry, I went to a dark place.
Yeah.
So
The people who are still complaining about it have not learned.
Yes.
And they are still crabby.
So it goes on to say thoughtful interviews with Peloton members who struggled with fitness, health, and life hurdles who've benefited from the classes and community are inspiring. And so it's a lengthy review, and we appreciate it. But I will also end by just saying that her leaderboard name is Pedal for Joy. That's the number 4. So if you want to seek her out, that's where you can find her.
I've seen that leaderboard name out there. Thank you so much for the very kind
Yes.
review. And sorry that we took a detour to complain about people who complain
We know you
about
weren't
that. No.
one of them.
No, and
Don't
we
worry.
appreciate that.
Yes. And also, don't forget we're available on YouTube, youtube.com/theclipout. You can subscribe over there and watch these episodes in HD-ish, I guess.
I think this counts.
I guess it counts, yeah. And of course, we have a newsletter that you can sign up for at theclipout.com, where you'll get all the links and pictures and things like that sent to you in a weekly-ish digest. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Run, lift, and live with John Mills.
So joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube is John Mills. Hey, John, how's it going?
Hi, John.
How's it going? What's happening? I just worked out, so it's a good thing it's not smell-o-vision.
I saw that.
smell
I
all
saw
that
it on
great.
Facebook. I think I
Yeah.
saw it on Instagram that you were just working out.
Yeah, I was running.
You were running.
Yeah.
I did a run
Yeah, I was
today
running.
too. Mine
Yeah?
was this morning. Yeah, I did a 30-minute rock run with Selena right after I did
love
a
Selena.
10. I do too.
Oh, I love Selena.
And I did it
She's
right after a
awesome.
10-minute warm up with Bex, and then I followed
Yeah.
both of those up with a 10-minute stretch with Maddie. What did you
See,
do?
that's where I mess it all up.
You don't
that's
do
where
the
I mess
stretch?
it all up.
You didn't know?
I never actually do the stretch. I'm supposed to do the stretch, and then I don't do the stretch, but I'm supposed to.
You got to do the
It's
stretch,
bad.
John. You got to do the stretch.
I gotta do the stretch. I'm gonna do the stretch.
Okay.
Don't let Hannah Marie Corbett fight.
Did you stretch though?
Yeah, exactly. He's hit me up like that before. I'm gonna stretch.
No, he didn't, Hannah. No, Hannah. He did
Hannah,
not.
I'm gonna stretch. I'm gonna stretch.
Gonna get in trouble. So I guess we'll start our foray into all this stuff with all the how COVID is relating to the world of Peloton and connected fitness. For starters, let's start with the fact that New York City is going to require proof of vaccination for indoor dining and fitness.
Yeah. So I found out this week that I don't ever want to post anything about this issue ever again. Like, people are mean about this subject. It is political and mean. And I just was starting a conversation. I didn't want to start a fight, and apparently I started a fight. So yeah, there's
all
that.
you're doing is reporting. You didn't even take a position. You're like, this is what's happening.
I didn't.
Yes.
I'm giggling, and not because I know this is all funny. I'm giggling because I did the same thing, and then the fight started.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
I know.
but they were still fighting, and I left. I started the fight.
A post from 3 days ago, they're still fighting on.
Yeah.
They're still going.
Yeah. They're on mine too, and then I get the notifications. I just swipe. Next one.
Nothing to see here.
I always tell Crystal, it's good for the algorithms.
I can't handle
Makes
it,
the
though.
engagement high. Like, just let them fight. You don't got to be a part of it.
It makes me feel so bad.
Yeah.
Like I
know
feel
it's
like
my fault. I started
exactly.
it.
It's like I got the kids and I got to pull them apart and make up, guys, make up, and nobody wants to make up.
America is so many different places. In New York City, they are requiring proof of vaccination for indoor dining and fitness. Meanwhile, in Missouri, they just made it illegal to cover your mouth when you sneeze.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, they didn't, but they might as well have.
Basically.
It's like
it's craziness.
It is craziness. It is. And, John, I think we're in the same place on this, that you and I don't think that Peloton is going to reopen anytime soon. Like I've been thinking Peloton's about to open, and now it's not happening. Like I've
been doing that too. It's about to happen. Oh, right after this, right towards the middle of summer, it's going to happen. But yeah, then about a month or two ago, I started thinking, I don't think that's happening. And now with the whole Delta thing, and now with these rules around, or these mandates, I mean, to me, that seems a little too iffy. Like, I think they would want to wait until all of this kind of like.
There's really no upside.
But hang on. Let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Please
First
do.
off, the problem you're going to run into is that there's never going to be an all clear. There's never going to be a moment. There's never going to be a VE day where they're like, this is done. It's just going to be one day we're going to be like, hey, yeah, it's been about 8 months since anything happened. You know what I mean? And so I wonder if mandates like this actually make it easier for Peloton to open, because now it's not them making a choice. They can be like, be mad about it or not, these are the rules of where we're located. So this is, even though I'm sure they're probably like, oh, thank God, but like, but people can't get mad at Peloton now for taking a stance because the local government is going to take the hit for them.
Here's why I think no. I think that is not the case, because there's no upside to them opening. They only have the one studio, and they can continue making classes without opening. Yeah. Unlike all these other fitness studios that have to open, Peloton doesn't need to. So, and you're not getting that many people in there.
Yeah, it's not about revenue. It's more just about optics.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
So I don't think they will, because the people that go to New York to take these classes aren't from New York. They're from here.
Right.
And when I say here, I just mean anywhere else besides New York.
The tourists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they're not in places currently where there are mandates. They don't have. And so, I mean, people are literally saying things like, I live in a free state. I never thought I would hear those words from someone, but I did. And my point is, that is what Peloton's up against. So why would they bother? It's only going to start a needless debate. I mean, if a post like that starts the kind of fights that I saw and John seeing, like, why would Peloton open the studio?
I think my post was my posts are always posing some question.
I know.
It's never just a post. So I think I'm a little more at fault. Yours is just a post. I'm like enticing them. I do feel a little bad, just a little. But anyway, I agree with you about from that perspective of, if they open, we know how it works. People are flying in from everywhere.
Right.
I don't know if you want those optics of like something happens and they're doing some contact tracing from like 50 people from 4 different states.
Are
Like,
they
I
still
don't know
doing
if-
contact tracing? I haven't heard a story about contact tracing in a year.
You're
That's a
right. I
fair
haven't
point.
heard that either.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
point. Yeah, that's true.
But
I don't
still,
know.
do you really want to have somebody get
no.
COVID and then they weren't vaccinated and they lied about being vaccinated and then they got in? Because like, how do you require this passport thing in New York when you're from out of state? Now you got to deal with that. So what's that
Yeah, I
going
don't
to
know
look
how they're
like?
gonna do
I
that.
don't.
That's a good point.
I just think.
And
it's
then my
gonna-
mind keeps going to, I know nobody's ever really kind of ridden in this new studio.
Right.
But my mind, when I think ride in the studio, it goes back to the original studio because I never rode in the new one. And I keep remembering hot, sweat flying everywhere, right?
It's
my
basically a
mind is
sauna.
just not,
It is very tiny. Even the waiting room was very
Yeah.
tiny. Yeah.
my mind is just not, that don't just give me the good feels. Like,
I agree. I
You
think a
know,
like
so-
people think that. I mean,
oh no.
yeah.
Well, on the
And then if you're not requiring a mask, then
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much you're really doing if it's just the vaccine.
Yeah. Well, I guess
don't know.
Equinox and SoulCycle are going to give it the old college try.
They are. They
Yeah.
are. They're saying that's going to start next month. Now that's interesting because they have to.
Right.
I mean, they have to because they're in New York, so they would have to. But also, they're saying they're doing this across the board, but they have to open their studios if they want to have that revenue. It's much more of a revenue stream for them. I know they have their at-home bikes, but I think we all know they're a very
That's-
small portion of their
Yeah.
business. So
Right. Yeah. It's not just Equinox, SoulCycle. I mean, Stephen Ross, that related companies, that larger entity that owns them, they said any of their companies are going to have this mandate. And so that's how I started this fight. Talking about
Well, I do think
SoulCycle.
this is the ghost of Christmas yet to come, right? Like, I think you're going to find more and more businesses that are just like, okay, well, you got to be vaccinated. Right. So if you don't want to get the vaccine, there's going to be increasing numbers of places where you cannot partake in culture.
I definitely think that's where we're headed. I mean, whether people agree with that or not,
yeah.
I think that's what we're doing as a country because the way that it's set up right now is that the businesses are the ones that have to police it. And so they're going to put as little liability on themselves as possible. And, I was hoping we could avoid this. I was hoping that, we'd get to the point where we didn't have to deal with the Delta variants, but hey, that didn't happen. Right. So here we are. And what's going to be the next variant? This is just the one at the moment. So I don't know.
Right.
Are we just doing this forever now? Is this just our life?
It kind of feels that way.
I don't know.
I mean, from a business perspective, it makes sense, right? Like you said, they don't want the liability. They want to be able to have the doors open. They want people to continue to come in. I mean, regardless of whatever your political position is, from a business perspective, that this all kind of makes sense. It does.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, I guess moving on to less controversial topics.
I'm just sure that like people on both sides of the issue are yelling at us right now.
Yeah.
I just feel people screaming.
I'll tell you right now, we don't care. So
I'll ask another question tomorrow and they'll be mad at me for some other reason.
Yes. We're going to moving on to something less controversial, abortion. So
we're not laughing at abortion. We're laughing at how ridiculous that is, that it would be less controversial.
So moneymorning.com writes about why Peloton stock is a long-term investment you want to make. I hope they're right, because we did it.
I thought this was a great article, like a really, really good article. And not just because it says what I want to hear. Because like
that's a good reason.
It is a good reason.
Echo chambers are fun.
Okay, but anyway. But honestly, because I feel like it's the most well thought out money article I've seen in a long time. And when I say money, I just mean anything stock related. Because it talks about how Peloton, they've done all these things in the last year to create more revenue streams, which is what we've been saying. Nothing shocking there. But to hear it kind of spelled out in laid out in this way that it's like, okay, well, first of all, we had the United Healthcare merger, or not merger, but partnership. And, that's 4 million people. And if all of them get a year of digital for free, and if even only a tiny little percentage decides they want to go and get the full access, they want to buy a bike after that year. I mean, that's a ton of people they just snatched up just by doing that. And then the indicators on this thing are cool because this is not the first time Peloton has made this kind of partnership. There's been 3 other companies. One of them was Wayfair. Don't remember the other 2, but they gave them like a bunch of survey questions, and I feel that it has improved my fitness with something like 80%, 87%. That I've reached my fitness goals was like 67%. And so when you're seeing from an HR perspective, these kinds of numbers, there is a certainty that this is going to continue in the future. And we're going to see more companies doing this in the space, obviously. So
yeah. I thought that absolutely. I agree with all of that stuff. And I also loved that they talked about, because this is the part that I've always kind of thought, that they talked about how they've kind of branched into wellness, into gamification, like the kind of the different arms. So it's broader than just kind of what their staple, where they started. And that's what I've always thought. I thought that's going to create their longevity.
It is.
So I thought it was a good article as well.
Yeah, that's more like the long tail of it, right? Like it's like they've kind of reached critical mass, and so now that they can start doing these things that will set themselves up for decades in a way that these other companies are still just trying to get up to speed. And people are always talking about, from a marketing standpoint, like how to have that longevity of marketing, and they're, by getting into gaming especially, they're really bringing in the younger generation. And so I think that's going to be smart, because first of all, that's everywhere right now, and second of all, just to be able to bring in those kids as they're young adults, and then they get older and they start caring about their fitness in a different way, like many of us have. Peloton's there, and that's a brand they recognize, so they're going to stick with them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So while we're speaking of money, I guess we should talk about the fact that the earnings call is coming up on August 26th.
Yes, it is.
Is it kind of nerdy that I like kind of wait for these dates? That's weird, huh?
No, because we're with you.
I think you're both weird.
Okay, well, I don't. And I don't think that a self-proclaimed nerd wearing a space whatever shirt you are over there.
Space ghost, thank you very much.
Can really pick on us for being nerdy. So
okay. All right.
I think we're all nerdy
I'm like
in our
always
own
trying
ways.
to guess, when is the date? They haven't announced it yet, and I'm guessing. I'm always wrong, and then when I get it, then I mark the calendar. Like, that's weird, right?
Trying to set patterns so you can predict the next one.
Well, have you noticed they used to be on Wednesdays and now they're on Thursdays?
Yeah,
have you
what's up
noticed
with
that?
that?
I think it's because we record on Wednesdays, and they were like, let's think it a day
let's
later.
help them out.
Yeah, no, I think they made it
them
worse.
out.
They made it worse. Yeah, because now it's on Thursday, so we have to do a separate segment for that. I think it has nothing to do with us. I have no idea why they do it, but
we're not that important.
No.
Nah.
So I guess watch this space for when the earnings call comes out. It'll be interesting to see.
It will.
Yeah.
I want to hear. I'm interested in the questions. I want to hear what they're going to be asking about.
Yeah, I think I'm going to make... Okay, so John, I'm going to have you do your money predictions, so you might want to pull up your details. But
hold on. Let me pull them up.
But while you're doing that...
I don't even remember what I predicted.
Well, my predictions are not financial, because I leave that to John. But my predictions are that we're going to get a lot of questions about the pre-core. We're going to get a lot of questions about the gaming, and we're going to get questions about the supposed rower and the supposed strength information that's coming out, because we know that is coming out in the fall, the strength, the tiger. So I think we're going to hear a lot of questions about all of those things.
And tread stuff.
I agree.
Oh, yeah, tread
I think the game stuff is they're going to definitely ask about the game, because I think that's an interesting kind of branch off into what they've been doing. Pre-core, definitely. Yeah, we're going to hear about that. The tread, the tread plus, and what's going on with the fix. When is
it's
that
gotten
coming?
real
If it's
quiet.
coming?
We're in August and there was no tread, so eek.
Well, I can't find my numbers. Like, I'm horrible at looking for stuff in the last second. So anyways, there's numbers out there on my
We'll
in my
recap
group
it.
somewhere.
That's why. Here's how you do it. That's why I'm not going to tell you the numbers. You need to go to Run Lift Live over on Facebook if you want to see that.
That's a
information.
shameless plug right
That's how you
there.
do that.
That's how you do it. But we'll
That's
also
what I was
recap
intending
it.
to do.
Well, the week that we do the earnings call, we will recap it then because we're going to see how
Right.
close you work since
Yes.
they're in
That's
writing.
That's right.
You're
No pressure.
Like Sylvia Brown going through your predictions to
Yes.
see what you got right. So, well, thank you so much for joining us, John. Until next time, remind people, not that I just didn't do it, where they can find you.
They can find me on Facebook over at Run Lift and Live.
There you go.
The group or the page. You can find me on Instagram, Run Lift and Live, or at runliftandlive.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks. Talk to you guys later.
See you later.
Bye.
Getting the Psychological Edge with Dr. Jenn.
Joining us once again is Dr. Jenn Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist. She was also a 5-year national team member in rhythmic gymnastics, and she's written 4 best-selling books, including The Relationship Fix, Dr. Jenn's 6-Step Guide to Improving Communication, Connection, and Intimacy. Ladies and gentlemen, and all points in between, it's Dr. Jenn.
Hello.
Hello.
We have another great question for you from the community, the Clip Out community. This one comes from Alyssa Kolaric, and she says, ooh, this is timely. My question is that I psych myself out in the middle of a hard workout. I'll give an example from this morning. She wanted to do a hit ride, and a hit and hills ride as her hard workout this week. Toward the end of the first hills section, the instructor had her take the incline to 12%. Instead of adjusting her pace like any sane person would do, she said that, not me. She wigged out. She wigged out and left the class. She then realized she was being stupid, again, her words, and started a 30-minute hit and hills class, finishing without any issue. How do I stay mentally focused when a workout is crazy hard? This has always been an issue for her.
I feel like we're going to hear about negative self-talk.
Yeah, well, there are a few things. I think you're on to something. But before I get to that, I think that there are a few things. One is I think that she needs to look at what is her level physically and what are her expectations of herself. And it's very important to have goals and to continue to grow as an athlete. And I think that that is awesome. It sounds like in this instance, she was capable of doing the class and she left one class and did another. I'm curious if there was a 12 hill in that second class. What I would have recommended to her is in that moment to really check in with herself. Like when I'm on the tread, for me, my weekend run, I have a long run that I do. And for me, that's my really tough work. It's kind of the one I dread and look forward to at the same time. And when I'm doing my run, I always ask myself when I'm starting to peter out, I do a check-in. And I ask myself, is it my endurance? Is it my muscles? Or is it my mind? And I find it really helpful because there are some times where, and it's less so now over time, where, you know what, this is just endurance-wise, I'm not there yet. And I'm pushing myself, but for me to make it through this 45 minutes or this hour run, I need to pace myself better. There are other times where I check in, I'm like, you know what, my legs are they didn't have enough recovery time for my last workout, and I got to respect that. And this instructor may be doing a hill, they may be doing a 6 incline, but I'm going to do a 3 because I got to respect my body. So, and then there are other times where it's my mind. And actually the fourth thing is sometimes it's exhaustion. Sometimes it's just, you know what, I didn't get enough sleep. It was a stressful week. I'm just tired. And that's the harder one. But when that happens, you got to pace yourself. If you want to make it through the ride or the run, you got to then pace yourself. But when it's mental, that's when you go to changing the self-talk. And, I've talked to you guys that I have a mantra and that it's so deeply ingrained in me that I do it without even noticing it because I've done such a good job changing my self-talk. When I'm on the tread, my mantra is, I'm strong, I'm light, I can do this. I'm strong, I'm light, I can do this. And when I just go on my default, that is running through my head without me even thinking about it at this point, because it's so deeply ingrained. So I think that when this person is on a ride where, let's say she's decided I'm doing a hit and hills ride, I think first of all, she needs to mentally prepare herself, that she needs to know there's going to be a point in this ride where I'm going to want to give up, but I'm not going to, because I know that I'm capable. I've done hit and hills rides before, so I know that my body is capable. And I'm also going to, at the same time, evaluate. I think she probably would have felt a lot better had she taken her incline down from a 12 to an 8 and stuck through the ride. Mm-hmm. And I think she's got to give herself the room to adjust on that. There are a lot of times, because I have some back issues, where I will do a ride where the instructor says to go up a lot higher. And I know, you know what, I may do it now, but I'm going to regret it tomorrow. And she's got to give herself a little space to, okay, you know what, maybe if I take my 12 down to a 6 for a minute, I may be able to go back up to a 12 and be okay. So I think that finding that balance of respecting her body, changing her mindset even in advance, checking in with herself and asking herself, is this my endurance? Is this my muscles? Is this my mind? Is this my exhaustion? And giving herself the room to adjust when needed and then go back up and not beat herself up, I think can really make a big difference.
Excellent suggestions. Yeah. It's almost like a checklist you have to do, because your mind can play games with you, you know? That I find that a lot of times it's my mind gives out long before my muscles do. It's like I just get bored.
Yeah, no, totally. And for me, I know like music makes a really big difference.
Yeah.
Music and also kind of changing it up. Like I haven't done one of those like 60-minute endurance rides or runs where you're just like running at the same pace. Like I should probably do it just for the mental kind of strength of it. But to me, that would be really challenging in a different way. And I also think that we have to also constantly assess what is good for my body and what is my dream, but not necessary. Like for me, like I actually kind of dig doing hills. I feel a sense of accomplishment, but my back and my hips, like they don't
agree.
Yeah, they don't agree. And you know, I have to really be very mindful of how much of an incline I do and how high up I put my resistance.
Okay.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, where can people find you?
On all social media at Dr. Jenn Man, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Man, and also in Style Magazine, I have a weekly column called Hump Day with Dr. Jenn.
Thank you.
Peloton in the news.
So, a controversy of sorts. So lowbrow, even I shake my head at it.
That's saying a lot.
That is saying a lot. Let's not kid ourselves. But I was considering we were talking about my colonoscopy at the opening of the show. But I guess this is adjacent to colonoscopy.
It is.
So there was a leaderboard name trending in a Cody class this week.
Yeah, I'm not exactly clear how this all started. Apparently, there was like a class that a bunch of people were going to swarm on. And I think this took place in the Boo Crew and also took place over in the Hardcore and the Floor.
Okay.
And so they were going to do a swarm together, and they already had like a hashtag for everyone to use on the ride.
Okay.
So everybody could find each other, right?
Sure.
Well, somehow this person got wrapped up in this, and like they had their leaderboard everywhere, which they put out there, and then all these people for some reason like globbed on.
So I guess Cody, like there's somebody whose leaderboard name was like ButtFart 87
yes,
or something like
yes.
that. And Cody kind of called him out as like
lame.
It's a lame.
He said it was lame.
It's a lame leaderboard name.
The backstory here is that the reason I was giving you all that backstory is because I guess somebody got the impression that Cody was offended by it, and so they asked everybody in the group to not use that hashtag on the ride after all. Well, they ended up doing it anyway.
Right.
And then Cody, after the class, like came up on Instagram and was like, I cannot even believe that I legit have to
talk about this.
I have to talk about this.
Yeah, and he was basically like, I'm not offended. I just didn't think it was funny. Like, I just thought it was low humor. And
which is exactly where you and I landed on it.
yeah, I was just like, really?
Like I'm not offended. I just like grow up.
Yeah, and so we actually have the audio. So we will before we move on to our next topic, we will drop in Cody's statement from Instagram in case you missed it right here.
Tuesday. So happy to be back from vacation and joining you on the bike this evening. Peloton community, there is some sort of controversy over a leaderboard name that I called out. I believe it's ButtFart 87. I can't believe I have to address this, but everyone needs to chill out. I am not offended by it. I think it would take a lot more for me to be offended than poop humor. I just thought it was a mediocre screen name and like, come on, do better. What are you, 5? But like, girl, I'm not offended in any way. Everyone needs to live their life, be okay, go drink some water, eat a nourishing meal, and figure out something else to stress about because there's a lot bigger problems in the world. Love y'all. See y'all tonight.
So on to more pressing topics.
Yeah.
There was a reminder put out by Peloton this week about Tread Plus members.
So a while back, whenever they put the kibosh on the sales of the Tread Plus.
Right.
And really the Tread, if you had either of them, you got a 90-day waiver, 3 months to all access membership for a couple of reasons. One, because some people were not able to use it because it wasn't in a safe room for their children, or because they weren't able to use Just Run without a full access membership anymore. So those are a couple of reasons. I'm sure there's more that Peloton decided to do that. Well, I just wanted to remind everyone, like Peloton reminded me, that 3 months is just about up. So that's interesting because they have not come out with the new Tread. It's 90 days later. We all kind of expected it based on what Peloton had said, mid to late July. Not sure where they are in that process, but we know we're not going to see anything about the Tread or any dates until it is approved by that committee, the SPSC or whatever they're called. So hopefully that will be soon, at least on the regular Tread. I think we have a long wait ahead of us for the Tread Plus, based on how long this one has taken.
It sure would seem that way. Plus, they, because of everything that went down, they needed the federal government's approval, and the federal government isn't exactly known for its speed.
And honestly, not just federal government, I would say any government, local.
Sure.
It's bureaucracy, and it's slow. So, yeah.
It's going to be a bit.
Mm-hmm. Gonna need some patience, I think.
So a year ago, Peloton launched their plan to become a more anti-racist organization, and they have some updates to that.
They do. And if you scroll down, we can see them.
Sorry.
I didn't memorize them, but it has been a lot of stuff. So for the last year, they have done, they had a commitment that they were going to be an anti-racist company, but they knew it's not just that simple. So they have been taking steps. And so they've done a ton in the last year. And they have committed with this next year, effective July 1st, they are investing $60 million to increase the hourly wages of Peloton's workforce. So all North American and European-based non-commissioned hourly team members are getting a $3 per hour pay increase. So the starting hourly rate at Peloton is going to be $19 an hour.
Nice.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
They are also addressing their job opportunity gap by investing $20 million in a learning and development program, which is going to have a dedicated focus for the hourly teammates, which is nice because so many of those are like for management. It's like handpicked people, and sometimes people fall through the gaps and that kind of thing. And then they're also committing to support the fight against systemic racism at the institutional level. They're going to invest another $20 million in third-party nonprofit organizations dedicated to the cause. So you might remember last month they had donated $500,000 to the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund, and they're going to start with that. That's where they started. Well, they did this last year as well, but that's going to continue. They're going to find more programs like that and continue to invest. And continue to donate. And it's not really investing, but
it kind of is. But I know what you mean. They're not going to get money back for it. Yeah.
It's difficult because some people might find fault with that.
Yeah.
So they're also trying to bring fitness and health and wellness to all communities. So they're going to make their product and content more accessible to underserved communities via their digital and connected fitness platforms. In 4 years, it is Peloton's goal that at least 10% of their classes are going to be streamed to and taken by members of those communities. That's a pretty amazing goal.
Absolutely.
And of course, they commit to being a truly anti-racist organization and delivering on their robust long-term agenda of diversity and inclusion goals, beginning immediately with anti-racism, learning opportunities at all levels of the company. And so these are just some of the things that they've been working on and will continue to work on in the future. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Past guest and longtime listener, friend of the show, Gail Fine, sent us this one. Thought this was interesting. It's a new advertising platform or avenue for Peloton. She was watching a Yankees game on the Yankees network, and just on the pitcher's mound, just ever so subtly, you see it says Peloton.
I just think that's so creative.
Well, here's what I think is really interesting about this form of advertising in the grand scheme of the history of Peloton.
Okay.
Right? It says that Peloton's reached a point where they can do advertising that's about branding. So their product has gotten to the point that they don't need to explain what they are. So that's rarefied air for a product, right? Like, you don't, if you're Joe's Roofing, you got it, like, well, roofing's in your name, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's just Peloton, and like Pepsi doesn't, like, look at the Pepsi sign behind home plate. It doesn't tell you that it's a soda.
Right. It just is Pepsi.
Doesn't even tell you it's a beverage. It just says Pepsi because they know you know what Pepsi is, and they're just trying to remind you that Pepsi exists. Peloton has reached the same level as a Coke or a Pepsi or a McDonald's, and that says a lot.
It does say a lot, especially when you think about how quickly they got there.
Absolutely. Remember the first time it was a Google guy talking about something working, and he mentioned Peloton and he didn't explain it. It was the first time we ever heard anybody just say Peloton and not explain it, and we were caught off guard. Like it was only maybe even 2 years ago where you couldn't say Peloton without having to stop and explain what it is. And those days are over.
Those days are long gone.
I mean, I know when we talk to people that aren't in this Peloton ecosystem about, we have a podcast, and they say what it's about. It used to be when we said Peloton, they were like, what the hell's that?
Yeah.
And then it was like, is there enough people that have Peloton that would listen to a podcast like that? And now it's like, ooh, that's smart.
Yeah. Now they're like, even if it's not their thing,
right.
They get it now. We don't have to explain it.
Yeah.
So I think that it's fascinating to watch this transition in real time.
Very much so. So thank you, Gail, for sending us that picture.
Yes. Gail always finds the most unique things.
And then People Magazine had an interesting article, just more about the way Peloton encroaches on all the different aspects of pop culture lately. But just this mom transformed her body through Peloton without ever getting on the bike.
Yeah, so she used all of the other content and digital classes, but she didn't just have a Peloton bike, and that's how she transformed. And it is a stunning transition. She lost quite a bit of weight after her pregnancy, and it's just pretty cool. It's cool to see that, we have people in People Magazine that are just regular people from right here in St. Louis.
Yeah, I didn't realize she was from St. Louis.
I didn't either until I just saw that picture.
And I was like, they got all sorts of Cardinals gear on. How about that?
We should see if we can find her and have her on the show. Oh, that's pretty cool. Well, congrats to, I believe her name was Rachel. That's awesome.
The Clip Out.
So joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube is Angelo from MetPro, here to answer your fitness and nutrition questions. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for having me back. Good to see you guys.
You too. We've got this is going to be a doozy of a question for you today.
Doozies.
It's a doozy.
Oh boy.
This is from Tammy Barnett. How does one transition to healthier eating? All at once, dropping one bad habit at a time. Signed, loves bread, cheese, sweets, butter, wine, sandwiches, and eating late at night.
Tammy, you are awesome. I love it. That is fabulous. So the answer is, and anyone who's heard this segment before knows, it depends.
Aw.
So both strategies have merit. So here's the circumstance with which you might consider one over the other.
Okay.
So the first thing is you have to take an approach that will yield results. So generally speaking, I have learned the magic number of things you can change at once with efficiency. And the magic number is 1. One thing at a time, you can do really well. So I like that strategy of small changes. Now don't get hung up. Like, no, Angelo said I'm just supposed to change one thing. Well, you changed one thing. You conquered that. Let's move through that list because we got a few still in line. So doing one thing at a time has merit, but here's another secret. The greatest human motivator is seeing progress. So the adjustments have to be substantial enough that it keeps you motivated. Now, have realistic expectations. You're not going to change 2 things about your diet or, go on a walk every night and then after a week look in the mirror and not recognize your shape anymore. That's probably not going to happen. But you can see forward progress. Stick with it. So if you're the type of person who enjoys a challenge, we used to look at your site, and I'm not a psychologist by any stretch. We used to look at basically your preferences and psychological disposition. Are you the type of person who thrives with a strong support system, people to do something with? And by the way, everyone falls under that category at some point. Are you the type of person who thrives because you know the why behind it? Like sometimes I'll talk to my client and say, hey, Johnny, remember how we made that adjustment to your lunch last week? Well, now you hit the number I wanted to see on the scale and we're going to start those workouts this week. And so we're going to change this and here's why. And he just eats it up because he likes to know the why behind it. But then there's people who don't bother with the support. I don't need the high fives. Don't tell me why. They just want to lay down the challenge. If it's not challenging me, I'm bored. If you're that personality type, like Tom, of course, like Tom, always saying challenge. I want to challenge him.
I'm a why guy. I like to know. I'm like, why am I doing this?
Right.
Like,
why am I getting up in the morning?
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I'm the why guy. If I can wrap my head around a strategy and the why behind it, I'm all in. And a lot of people are like that.
Yeah.
But then I get those type A personalities too that, I call them up on the phone and it's not about telling him what's in the, brown rice or sweet potato that he's eating today. It's about telling him, hey, Johnny, here's what I ate for lunch. See if you can do better. Gotta reel him in. So just know yourself. You've been in your body a very long time. You know your own personality. Find the strategy that's going to work because the goal is longevity. People tell me this all, and I'll give you one last illustration on this point. Anything you do this week doesn't matter unless it's laying a foundation for what's sustainable a month after and a year after that. So if you try and bite off more than you chew, that can backfire. Or if you're not changing enough to see a result, that can backfire. Find that happy medium for you. And now, this is where the shameless plug has to come. It's just that's where accountability. If you have somebody that's walking on that path with you, that's like, okay, we've been here before. I've seen this before. Here's what me and countless others have done. Here's been their response. Here's what I'd like you to do. What do you think of this? And finding that, and that's support. And it's just human nature when you have somebody in your corner leading you, teaching you, and supporting you, and sometimes challenging you, it does. It turns into some good stuff.
And explaining
That's
why.
I keep cracking the whip with Tom.
So far, so good. Yeah.
So far, so good, buddy.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for answering that question. Until next time, where can people find you? metpro.co/TCO.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Instructors in the news.
I feel like we should be playing the theme to Love American Style. These are going to be all love stories. We're kicking it off with a story about Allie Love, but they're not. But that's not why these are all love stories. Just to be clear.
No, but that's funny. Yeah. So I'm sure. I feel like everyone already knows, but just in case you missed it, Allie Love got married this past week. It was weekend. It was a 5-day event, so I'm not exactly sure when the wedding occurred, but it was in Mexico, and she had quite the guest list because tons of the instructors were there. Cody, Robin, Jess Sims, Emma Lovewell, Tunde, Hannah Corbin, Alex Toussaint, and Dennis. I almost said Dennis Menace because Dennis Menace is
right.
Anyway, Dennis Morton. And I don't know who all was there from the corporate side, but I do know that John Foley was there as well.
How about that?
And so I think everybody had a great time. There were some really fun pictures posted on Instagram of the instructors. Like, for example, Emma Lovewell, Jess Sims, Hannah, and Tunde were all they were like working out together the morning, like one of the mornings they were there, and they got some fun selfies and did some fun videos. They were riding bikes on the beach, and their cadence was 5 and resistance was 3. And they were going to breakfast and they were having a great time. So it was just kind of fun to see that.
Absolutely. And then because Peloton doesn't do anything small, she wasn't even the only instructor getting married.
No, brand new instructor, Callie Gullickson, who's one of our new strength instructors. She also got married, and she got married this past weekend as well. And I'm sure the instructors were like, crap, which wedding do we go to? She was like, should I invite them? I'm sure there was all kinds of
it's probably weird. Yeah, because she's so new. Like, she probably doesn't have the same, not probably, like, she's new. Like, she's not going to have the same depth of relationships with her coworkers.
Absolutely.
That Allie Love would have, because she's been there for so much longer.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it totally makes sense. And I got to say, I saw some people kind of starting some drama about this, by the way. And to anybody out there who hasn't, thought it through all the way, maybe just hasn't thought about it from this perspective, that why were some instructors at either of these weddings and some instructors weren't? Well, somebody had to stay back at the studio and keep teaching classes. I mean, they didn't shut down the entire schedule for Allie's wedding or Callie's wedding, for that matter. So it's that. And also, they're not all instructor relationships are going to be created equal.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they don't like each other.
No,
but I mean,
not at all.
But yeah.
But I work with people. I don't go to people's weddings that I work with. I mean, if I'm invited, that's great. But there's people I work with that I would go. There's people I work with I wouldn't go. Not because I don't like them, but just we're not close like that.
Yeah.
So, I don't think anybody needs to make a thing over it, And also other people had other things going on. Like, for example, Jen Sherman was taking her daughter to college. That's going to trump a wedding.
Yeah.
So, things like that. I'm sure there were lots of other things going on. But at any rate.
So moving on from nuptials to impending nuptials, Ben and Leanne finally made it official.
They are engaged.
So
they've been
I think they got engaged just so people would stop asking.
That could be. Well, now they're going to be like, and when are
When's
you
the
having
wedding?
kids?
Yeah.
No, that's the wedding, of course. But I figure since they're both instructors and since we've watched their relationship, we all get to go to this wedding, right? Like, I get why we didn't go to Allie's because like the guy Andrew wasn't a
He's not a Peloton person,
Right.
but now since they're both Peloton people, we've
we've watched their relationship. Like we watched when they didn't even know each other, and then they're living together, and now they're engaged. Like we're part of this, so I'm pretty sure we're all invited. I think all like 4 million members are going to go. It's going to be a big wedding. It's going to be expensive, but it'll be worth it. Ben and Leanne, trust me.
Maybe instead of having a fancy, just a bunch of chicken tenders at the reception, that'll keep costs
that might be
down.
a good idea. Yeah, or maybe just they feel sorry for us and they'll they'll have like a Zoom wedding, just a Zoom portion for the rest of us.
I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll all dress up. It'll be amazing. But anyway, congrats to them. That's awesome.
And
yeah, if one engagement wasn't enough,
since one wedding wasn't enough, why would one engagement be enough? So we get a second. A second engagement, although this was actually first, chronologically speaking.
Chronologically, yes.
But Jayvee Nava got engaged.
Yeah, Jayvee, we go way back with Jayvee, and she is been at Peloton since the beginning.
Yeah.
So I know she's not an instructor, but she is very much the heart and soul of Peloton in my mind, and we wish her a huge congratulations.
Absolutely. Rebecca Kennedy is back.
She's back. She's been off taking care of herself. We know that she was off recovering from something. We don't know what, and it's none of our business.
Yeah.
But we do know that she is back, and it kicked off on Wednesday, August 4th with a 30-minute live pop walk. And I saw the Instagram live afterwards. She was in a great place and having a ton of fun. So hope everybody got a chance to check it out. And if you didn't, make sure that you check it out on demand. And welcome back, Rebecca. We've missed you. I love taking classes with her. She's just got such a light.
Congrats to Hannah Frankson's mother.
Yeah.
Cancer Nurse of the Year.
Yes. And May, she posted this and tagged us in it so we make sure we saw it. And I love this. Cancer Nurse of the Year. Her mom won. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing because I can't imagine the competition. Like, it's got to be pretty intense. But, okay, beyond the competition for an award like that, okay, imagine the competition for the year.
I know.
It's 2020. So
Right.
she was like, of all the years to be Cancer Nurse of the Year, 2020?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's
I guess Hannah Frankson's not just saying things or exaggerating when she says that her mom is literally her biggest cheerleader, and also for every single person on the planet. Because you have to be a cheerleader to be able
Absolutely.
to guide people through cancer, and that's not an easy job. So
Not at
congrats.
all. So Robin gave us a sneak peek at, what is this?
It's some kind of photo shoot, and so presumably for an upcoming drop, but I'm confused because I posted 3 of the pics, one of which is a like a leopard outfit that's the cheetah looking outfit that's been out before. So I'm really confused. And the only thing I can think of is that one was so popular. That's the one that like sells for like $800 just
okay.
for the bra.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're bringing it back.
So if you've got one, sell it now.
Yeah, sell it now. I don't know that's what's happening, but in the picture, the next picture, it shows the cheetah bra, and it shows it with bike shorts. And I don't recall the last time that the cheetah print was out that it had a shorts, bike shorts. I just recall it having the leggings that matched. So I'm pretty sure this is new. At any rate, it was posted and it said on set with One Peloton today, not like this is old shots. So
right.
Make of that what you will. It may or may not be some kind of sneak peek. I have no idea, but I thought it was worth posting because it might be.
Absolutely. And then while we're talking about clothes, there's a Peloton golf capsule collection.
Yeah, it's very limited. And Selena Samuela has been she's been posting it on Instagram, and One Peloton posted it too. But it's a golf shirt and a like a golf skirt. So it's the little like, it looks like a skirt, but it's got shorts
underneath so they can't see the goods.
Yeah, exactly. And, Selena, she's a huge golf fan. And so she is always golfing. And so this is perfect for her. But I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this other than people were a little confused why the grays didn't match. Like the shirt was one color and the skirt was a slightly different color, but it all worked together. I thought it looked good.
Gotcha.
But other than that, I don't know much about it. So just wanted to bring it to people's attention that it's out there. I know that we have a lot of collectors around, thought that people might want to know if they haven't already bought it.
And then finally, Kristen McGee did an Instagram Live wellness session with Venus Williams.
Yeah, they got together on August 2nd at 5 p.m. So if you miss that, you can still check it out. And I believe that was 5 p.m. Eastern time, just to be clear. And so it was still out on Kristen's Instagram when I checked on the 3rd. But at any rate, it's really cool. And I love Venus Williams. She's done Instagram Lives with some of the tonal instructors too. And she's just absolutely fascinating to listen to and very down to earth. So Kristen McGee is as well. That's a great combo. Be sure to check it out.
Peloton birthdays.
Continuing our veritable plethora, a potpourri, if you will, and you will, of August birthdays. So if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, it is Alex Toussaint's birthday, August 6th.
So happy birthday to Alex Toussaint.
And then Olivia Amato. Amato. I only said it so I can do that joke.
I know.
Her birthday is on August 8th. And then Christine Diercole is August 11th. So
many Leo birthdays in the Peloton world. I'm telling you, it is not a coincidence.
Yeah, there are tons. And there's still tons more. So watch this space. But there are still tons more coming up in August. So you'll just have to keep listening to find out.
Yeah, you will. Happy birthday to Alex, Olivia, and Christine.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Cathy Huff. Hey, Cathy, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you guys?
Good.
And we already know you're a patient woman.
Yes.
We were having technical difficulties with our new fancy setup, and
Kathy sat quietly
here.
and nicely, and she smiled the whole time.
A little too quietly. We weren't getting any of the audio.
But it was our fault.
It was our fault.
Count.
Yes.
Well, Cathy, were you patient about getting the Peloton? How did you find your Peloton and decide this is the equipment that you need?
So the funny thing is about 7 years ago on a New Year's Eve night, I'm actually pretty religious about making resolutions and oddly keeping them.
Okay.
And so I decided a little over 7 years ago that I wanted to have fitness a complete part of my life and it be joyful, like have fun with it. Okay. And, because I wanted to do all these things as I got older, I didn't want to just like form into the couch like I had started. So, so I was trying all sorts of different things. And I went on a trip with my husband and it was a business trip, but the hotel had a Peloton. I'd never heard of it before. All I knew was just some exercise bike. And I fell in love with it. And then I just kept talking about it again and again and again to my husband. And then he did that thing that all those husbands got blasted for before COVID.
You verbalized how much you wanted it. That's okay.
Yes. And he got me the bike for my birthday back in 2018. So it was a gift from my husband and probably one of the best gifts I've ever been given. So I just thought it was always funny that commercial came out soon after and there was so much flack over it. But I thought, well, I'm one of those women and I loved it.
Yeah, we have said this often and I will say it again. If only they had included the part in the commercial where the wife had asked for the bike. Right. I think that would have been the game changer,
Yeah.
But I'm very glad you got it and that so that's, gosh, it's already been 3 years since you got your bike. Man, it's 2018 to now flew by.
I know. And honestly, I will say, when you hear newbies starting up and everything, I have to admit, even though I wanted it and everything, it still probably took me about 4 or 5 months to get into a rhythm and to also just decide to give up on, and this goes against obviously the name of your show, but I gave up on clipping out, and I just left my shoes in. Nobody else was riding my bike. So my shoes have also been on the bike for 3 years now.
No way. So you've never clipped out? That's amazing. Not one time. Oh my gosh. Yes. I love that. I love that.
That's funny.
I had trouble clipping out at first too. And I definitely have left my shoes on the bike. And there have been times even to this day that I've left it on, but I didn't leave it on consecutively. So you have me beat in that regard.
It's quite the record.
3 years. Anybody out there? If anybody out there can beat you with that record, I would like to hear about it.
Well, if your husband ever decides to use it, what are you going to do?
Yeah, good question.
I think he kind of knows at this point that it's my baby and to stay clear of it. So
you're like, it's easier to just buy a second one if you're not taking my shoes off.
Yeah. And he, at that point in time, he was really getting into Ironmans and triathlons. So he's got plenty of bikes on his own, and I've got my Peloton.
Wow. So he rides. He just doesn't ride the Peloton. He does his own thing.
He does his own thing. And of course he convinced me he wanted to get the tonal. So he's got that. I've tried it here and there. It's not quite into my rhythm yet, but that's also because as much as I fell in love with the bike and I got into biking, it was probably soon after everything was shutting down with COVID and all that I started really getting into the strength training and the cardio classes on Peloton. And so this Saturday, I'll be getting to celebrate a double milestone. I worked really hard to plan it. I've got my 1,500th bike ride this Saturday and my 1,500th strength class.
Nice.
Well done.
Congrats. That's amazing. 15, so 3,000 classes combined. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a mixed marriage, right? Like you have the Peloton and he has the tonal. Is that how it works?
I know it can work. It can work.
I am very glad to hear it.
Now, what can't work is like if you had the Peloton and he had an echelon.
Oh no,
that would be problematic.
That would not work.
Yes.
I wouldn't even accept a Nordic track. Like there could not be another one in there.
You're like, this is a deal breaker. You're going to have to trade this in for a mistress because this is a bridge too far.
And it was actually last Christmas that he ended up getting me the tread, which he uses as well. So we both we found like a
common ground. That's what makes a marriage work.
Wow, you have the perfect trifecta, in my opinion: the tread, the bike, and tonal. That's perfect.
Yes, we used to have this like entertaining kind of basement that we spent all this time developing into an entertainment spot for movies, and now it's a gym. So COVID definitely changed that.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. So were you working out pretty regularly before you got the Peloton, or were you still kind of like working out here and there when you got the Peloton? How did it change things?
I was working out kind of here and there. Like I was definitely getting into a little bit more of a rhythm. I was getting more fit. I had tried some boot camp classes, like CrossFit kind of stuff with my sister since she was trying to get back into it, and did some bar classes and went to the gym. And quite frankly, I ended up getting some knee injuries that I had to rehab. And I just thought, okay, the bike will for sure be safe on the knees. And I wanted to actually complete a half marathon. I'm not much of a runner, but I decided to turn myself into one. It kind of went along with all of the activities that I was trying to do, with not only just that, my 7-year plan of making this a lifestyle, but I also just wanted to try lots of different things. So literally in the last few years, I've tried tap dancing and trapeze class and mountain climbing and other various circus classes, just kind of all over the place. Like I love the fact that it kind of went from, hey, this is a bike and this will work okay on my knees and everything, to now I just do every kind of class on their app, and it helps me be, active and limber and flexible and fit for just kind of any sort of activity, I feel like.
So with all the different things you tried, I'm just curious, what did you like the best, and what were you like, sweet baby snow peas, never again?
The trapeze
was which one?
Was sweet baby Jesus, get me off of this thing.
I've always wanted to try it. Why did you not like it?
I about threw up on the first time down. I mean, it's just a complete fall. And the trainers there were yelling out directions in German, which I don't know German.
Yeah,
and they're not German, but apparently all of the things in the world of trapeze are in German. So they're yelling out these things for me to do in German, which they hadn't trained me on. So I'm just like flying back and forth going, what am I supposed to do?
So do they start you like up high, or do they start you down low and like as you get better, you work up?
No, it's up high.
Start up high? I just thought it was like when you learn to walk a tightrope, they don't start it over Niagara Falls. They put you, real close to the ground. So they start you up high?
Yeah, the contraption they put around you for stability, you're thankful for. You sure. Definitely, you feel safe and you feel secure. But I actually started laughing when they started putting it on, because I thought this guy was joking. He put it on so tight that I couldn't breathe and my rib cage kind of popped out over. Oh. And so I just thought, you're
it's a safety
doing a joke here. Yeah. Like this is just, you're just joking with me. It can't be this tight. But no, he left it like that. And then he said, hey, the hardest part of all of this is climbing up the rope ladder to get to the top. And at that point, I'm thinking, wait, I thought we were supposed to have this whole class and we're going to watch videos and all this. No, just climb up to the top.
I'm starting to think this wasn't a very good class. They weren't good teachers.
Was this a Groupon? Did they skip a day?
Did you only do class 2 of 3?
It even shocked me that I got myself to go back up and do it twice. But some people were doing it. We were there for 2 hours. You could probably do it easily 15 times over. But after the second time, I still couldn't get over that feeling of, I think I'm going to throw up.
Yeah. I can't get over it. I'm just listening to you talk about it. So like, was anybody actually do, not the people that work there, they don't count, but the people that came in to do the class, did any of them actually like do the flips, or did you just grab onto the bar and hold on for dear life?
Yes, they were doing all the flips. They were leaping to the other person on the other side.
Like the people that just showed up for a class were doing that.
I did hang upside down and I did one little flip, but that's it.
Wow, that's impressive. You're a daredevil.
Yeah.
I love it.
So what was the one that you liked the best out of all the different the potpourri of classes you took?
I actually really had fun with, I ended up taking like my whole family, all my nieces, my sisters, my mom, another friend of mine. We all did this aerial class, and it was on those, those big like silks that hang from the wall.
Yeah, I know that.
And the hoops and all of that. We did that, and honestly, it was just fun because you could laugh at yourself the whole way through, and there was times where you kind of felt like you were flying around, but I had a lot of video and I took a lot of video, and you kind of look back at the video and you think you probably look spectacular and you're doing all of this aerial stuff, and then you watch the videos and you go, no, I kind of looked like a pug dog that's just hanging from a string, like it's just hanging there. But it was fun. It was a ton of fun, all ages. So yeah, that was fun.
That's great.
So they had pug puppies too.
So Now, which group do you admin in the Peloton world?
The Breakthrough Crew.
The Breakthrough Crew. Okay.
Yeah.
So that started back when they did Peloton? Is that how that got? Okay.
It did. I joined the group because you know how each team had their slew of trainers that were like their team. And so I joined because some of my favorite trainers were part of the group. And so, and oddly enough, at that point in time, I really only kind of dipped my toe into the world of all of these Facebook groups and tagged groups and everything. So I joined a few, but I wasn't really deep in. And so I joined the Breakthrough Crew during Peloton, and I just randomly started posting the stats every day, like where we stood in the stats and who was winning and so forth. And I just kept posting about how we needed to bring more cowbell and getting everybody like psyched up. And so I just did that every single day. And after Peloton was over, a couple of the admins approached me and said, hey, we think we're going to keep this group going. Do you want to join our team? A couple of the admins are, they're basically taking care of other groups, so they don't have time. So I joined, and within, over the last year, we've kind of doubled the size of the group and kept it going. The nice thing is all of us that are admins, there's 6 of us women, we're just truly about wanting a space that is all fitness, no negativity, but that also means no drama, pure fitness. And there's no selling, there's no gimmicks. It's just all about encouragement, which for me, that's at my heart, just who I am. And so I love that because it's just every single day I can go on there and encourage people. We do lots of different strength challenges and send out t-shirts and mail little handwritten notes and all sorts of stuff that we do with different challenges, and just kind of getting everybody involved and enjoying whatever type of breakthrough they're trying to get to.
So refresh my memory. Was it the Breakthrough Crew that won Peloton?
Yeah, it was. And
I thought. See, I was part of the Unstoppables, and as I have mentioned, we were totally stoppable. We got stopped a lot.
It was more like the Unstartables.
Yeah, it was not great.
Where I was part of the Uncrustables, the delicious peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that they sell.
But the reason I ask is I don't think any other of the groups that started around that time are still around, like any of the other Peloton groups. If they are, I apologize. Anybody out there listening who's like, yes, we do. I don't know of any, so that doesn't mean they don't exist, but the Breakthrough Crew is the one that I see on the leaderboard all the time. So that's why I think it's only you guys that are still out there.
Do you think that's just a byproduct of having one?
I think it's her persona and the way that they cheer everybody on. They're like really.
It's the cowbell.
Look at that cowbell.
That's a big cowbell.
That is a ginormous cowbell.
You probably get 2 or 3 cows showing up with that
thing. I do live in Indiana, so you got to watch out for that.
Okay. There's lots of cows in Indiana. That we get that because we're in Missouri. There's lots of cows here too.
Yeah. I don't know if the other groups are still around or not.
And that's because you won and you don't pay attention to them because they're losers. Right? Is that?
Possibly.
I'm not to put words in your mouth, but that's exactly what you meant to say.
That's definitely what I heard. No, Kathy's nice. She didn't say that. That's something Tom would say, not Kathy. She's like, I'm just going to smile.
Yes.
we'll just let Tom say that.
I have plausible deniability when those loser groups come after me.
But hey, I think outside of maybe a couple other tags in the Peloton sphere, on the bike and on the tread, I think the Breakthrough Crew is like maybe second or third largest in terms of how many people have it on their leaderboard name, because I know there's maybe close to about 65,000 that use that tag. So
well, I know that like some of the One Peloton has like 500,000 or
Yeah.
something crazy. It's
I think that
enormous.
Together We Go Far, or something
Yes.
like that one is a big one too.
Yeah. Clearly you guys are up there in the top of the range though.
Have you done any vetting to make sure people from the groups that lost aren't trying to now sneak in and ride your winning coattails?
But see, I think they're welcoming of everyone, Tom.
Okay.
So I think she's okay with the coattail riding.
Okay.
We
as long as they're okay with it.
honestly, we completely opened it wide. All of our strength challenges, bike challenges, we do with all trainers. So we're not just, the 6 trainers we started off with.
Okay. As long as the coattail riding is consensual, then
Yeah,
that's important.
we opened it up beyond the team because we just thought, well, breakthrough crew, it is about breakthroughs, and everybody's looking for different things in terms of breakthrough for their fitness.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We've had some interesting group rides. I mean, we've been able to kind of do some group rides for people that were struggling through cancer. A woman that was quite the hero in terms of the fact that she had a very freak accident occur, and she was able to save her child, but unfortunately she lost a leg. And so she was trying to get back on the bike. And we actually were able to get a special shout out from Christine. We reached out to Christine and she gave her a special shout out. We had a whole team kind of ride around her. And I think for us that lead this group, that's what we absolutely adore the most, is just the fact that everybody is going to be at a different kind of point in their fitness journey. They have different needs, different breakthroughs they're going through, different challenges. And so we just love to kind of wrap around and be able to cheer everyone on and bring a whole lot of cowbell.
So it sounds to me, just based on our offline conversation, that you're not a cheerleader just for Peloton, that you are a cheerleader all the time, because you were telling me about how you do this fundraising for young women and children coming out of sex trafficking. So how did you get involved with that? And I can't even imagine like how there has to be a whole range of emotions that you deal with whenever you're involved in that.
So yes, whenever I'm talking with people about it, I understand that it's a dark topic. It's dark, it's deep. And I just always try to bring people around to the fact that, okay, this is something that we can fight and beat because we've done it before. History proves that. When I got connected to it is because actually my husband and I were introduced to a 9/11 survivor, and his story is like out of this world in terms of what he survived and how few people around him did not. And so he truly got pulled out of the ashes of one of the towers after it fell. And he started becoming this known speaker. He started speaking around the world. He ended up giving up his full-time job, moving his family away from New York City. And he did that for 5 years, where he was talking about a story and speaking around the world. Well, he went back to his home country since he was originally from India. And that was the first time that he saw what is considered one of the worst red light districts in the world. And I always tell people, because I know a lot of people think red light district and they think in terms of, okay, women might be trying to do this to get money and whatnot. Red light districts in a lot of the world are actually women and children that are kept in literal cages. So think 5x7,
Wow.
Yeah.
no ventilation, no way out. They're not given any money. They're not given barely any food. And so they tend to last between 7 to 11 years surviving in that situation. And so he saw that. And for him, it gave him hope, because he thought, I got pulled out of the ashes and I got born in this whole new life of where I was getting led and called. And so he just looked at these women and children, and he started finding ways of being able to pull them out and into safety and into a safe house that he started. And so he started this organization to help women and children. He kind of felt like, hey, we can pull them out of the ashes, give them a new life. And it turned into kind of an international movement. He's put together educational materials and all sorts of great things. And when my husband and I connected with him, for me, it just really connected with me because I had already gone a few years into my fitness journey of being able to move freely and be fit and do anything and everything I wanted to. And I thought, gosh, I have pure freedom of every single way you could think of. And so I just felt like I needed to be able to figure out a way to connect how much freedom I have and figure out how to give that away. And so it kind of became a process of course, I need to really educate myself. And then I also started speaking to small groups, churches, businesses, some large businesses. I even went out to New York City and met with some of the folks out there in the fashion industry. And the more I kept biking and getting into more endurance activities, I just thought there's got to be a way where I can get people involved and go, hey, if I'm going to be on the bike for a long time, for instance, I started doing that Peloton event.
Yeah.
I thought if I'm going to be doing this, then why couldn't I just figure out a way to raise money? And one of the last Pelotondos, I was able to get a team of women involved, and we were able to raise $5,000, which literally for just one woman to be able to give her a complete new life in terms of health care, counseling, a safe house, the whole 9 yards. In some of these countries, it's literally just a few $100s a month. So it's pennies.
Wow.
And so that's why it's, making 1,000 here, 5,000 there, 10,000 there, it just all adds up and makes a difference. And I just felt like if I am going to be enjoying all of this freedom that I'm given, I want to just be able to package it up and give it away. And I've found a lot of other men and women that are kind of joining along and wanting to do this as well. I know I'm definitely looking forward to the next Peloton because I want to explode and get a bigger team and go out and hopefully blow $5,000 out of the water and fundraise even more.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's how the community can be involved is kind of join. So how do they join your Pelofondo and do the fund? How do they fundraise? How do we help you?
How do they give you money?
Yeah. Tell us how to get the money to you.
So honestly, a couple different ways. I mean, I would love to have everybody join the Breakthrough Crew, and then they can just automatically be messaging me through there and asking and inquiring through there. I'm a very active admin of that group, but also through Instagram. My leaderboard name is Best Ever Yet, and my Instagram is Best Ever Yet 2.0. And just being able to find me there, feel free to direct message me, ask me about it. And of course, you guys you've been obviously know enough Peloton people that I'm sure you've seen a million of these boards.
Yes. I love that.
But at You Can Free Us, that's one of the organizations that I do a lot of work with. And I just always put that out there because the name itself says a lot. We can actually free women and children. We literally have the power to do that, even from our own basements on our Pelotons. So even if people just want to check out the organization and say, hey, what are they up to? I need to educate myself. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, at just You Can Free Us.
That's wonderful. I love that. Well, I'll be checking that out. And if you can send me the link, then I'll make sure that we include it with the episode as well.
Absolutely.
I would love that. Peloton questions. Now, do you have a favorite instructor?
So this is a tough one just because I do so many different classes across the spectrum. I would have to say probably my top two, especially if you look at how often I take them, would have to be Emma and Olivia. I'm a huge music fan and concert goer, and Emma has such a great taste in all sorts of music, every single genre. So I definitely connect with her on that. And of course, she gives me a good sweat. So there's that too. Olivia is, to me, bar none, hands down, the best on core and body weight strength training. And she will literally crush you. She doesn't break a sweat, but you'll probably not even be able to breathe or fall asleep that evening. But she is excellent on that as well. But I gotta say, I'm loving the new trainers that they're bringing on board as well. I've tried Callie and Rad and some of these new ones, and so I'm excited to see how they're bringing on more. I know they've got a new German one added as well. So
yeah,
I always try to take all of them because I feel like each one kind of has their thing that they're the best at, or whether it's a mood you're looking for, or a certain type of strength training, or a certain type of class. Like I love that about Peloton. There's just kind of a best one for each type of thing you might look for.
Yeah, that's totally true.
Absolutely. So do you have any advice for people that are just entering the world of Peloton?
I've definitely given out a lot of advice to newbies, and I'd say that the absolute first one is to make sure if it's a bike, make sure you get your bike fitted appropriately.
That's good advice.
If anything is hurting in your legs or your joints, then something's off. If your tail end is hurting, that's normal. But if your ankles or your feet or your knees or your hips, anything like that is hurting, then something needs to be corrected. So that's always for me, number one. And then I always tell people, I'm like, next comes form, really getting your form down so that you're also not hurting your neck and your shoulders. And I think Matt Wilpers is probably one of the best on form with his low impact. And Allie Love is also really great because she's always reminding you about your core and how you're supposed to be sitting when you're in the saddle. So I think those two are really good to kind of start off with. And they're very encouraging and positive. And of course, I think Cody is another one where if people just want to experience that pure kind of crazy fun side of Peloton, so that it gets them a little bit more roped in, going, hey, this is not just hardcore fitness. We can also have a lot of fun with this. Then yeah, Cody will probably get most people roped in from that angle.
That's awesome advice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Yes,
and thank you again for your patience at the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both. I love your podcast. You guys do a great job, and I'm always watching your Instagram and all. So thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. What, pray tell, do you have in store for people next week?
Well, we have had requests for this interview for quite a while, and it is finally happening. Calvin Harris will be joining us.
Awesome.
Yes.
So until next time, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com. I don't even know what just happened. Facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram and Twitter, the bike, and of course the tread at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at Facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online, Facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Find us on YouTube at YouTube.com/The Clip Out. Be sure and subscribe while you're there. And don't forget our newsletter that you can sign up for at theclipout.com. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling.
And running.
Clip in, set yourself free.